Hopefully everyone can hear me. Hi, my name is Danielle Bender, and I'm the Cinematic Arts Manager at Ulite Arts. So I just want to welcome you to our last info session for our film open call, Local Love Letters. Not only is this the last session, but it's also the last week to submit your applications. So if you have not already, the link should be above in the presentation. And I'm still taking questions. So today I'm going to go over the application process for submitting, and I'll also be joined by a filmmaker named Helen Peña, who will be sharing resources, and we'll both answer any questions you might have. Speaking of questions, and I already put it in the chat, but if you have any, we'll be answering them at the end of the presentation, so make sure to leave them in the Q&A feature. If you put them in the chat, we might not see them. So Q&A feature is the best spot for any questions. We also have the previous info session up on our website, which has a lot of the same info I'll be covering today. Only difference is we spoke with a different filmmaker, Franco Gonzalez. We're also going to post this one on our website as well. So if you're joining us late in the game, it's not a big deal. It'll be up on the website. I'll give a little bit of background info on this open call. So for those unfamiliar with them, last fall, we partnered with City of Miami Beach and we offered a contest called Sustainability in Action. It was a cinematic-based contest, and it encouraged filmmakers to submit ideas for a 30 to 60-second PSA. And that was for the ways in which the city's working to reduce waste. We were able to fund 10 filmmakers, and they each received $2,500 each. And the PSAs went on to screen at a public event at Soundscape Park. The goal for the PSAs was to continue to get funding to local filmmakers, but also for artists to have agency in community topics that affect their day-to-day lives. We've done a couple of PSA contests. We've had a really good run with them and had such an amazing time partnering with City of Miami Beach. So that obviously had us thinking, what can we partner on next? So we'll get straight into it because that's what you're here to learn about. Local love letters. Again, last contest, it centered on efforts to keep Miami Beach clean and eventually zero waste. Thinking about Miami Beach and how special it is, especially to locals, it just got us wondering, what are the spots that our community of filmmakers hold near and dear on Miami Beach? And how can those spots be factored into short films that are being made by our community? So obviously, local love letters. It's our newest open call short film contest. We want you to pitch us a brief idea of your best short film idea. There's only a couple of rules attached. Your film has to be within 3 to 5 minutes, and you have to use your favorite location on Miami Beach as one of your locations. If you choose it to be the entire location, that's fine. If you choose to use several locations on Miami Beach, that's fine. But basically, you're picking your favorite spot on Miami Beach and using that as at least one of your locations. So pretty simple. I'll go a little bit more into the locations in a second, but a little more background on the contest. In addition to partnering with City of Miami Beach, we've also received funding from the Lynn and Lewis Wolfson II Family Foundation. And with that funding, the combined funding, we're going to award 10 filmmakers with $5,000 each to create 3 to 5 minute shorts. So on top of the $5,000, Ulite's also going to provide some funds that can get you insurance to film. So we're doubling the amount that we're giving filmmakers to create these short films, in addition to providing support for insurance. If you're wondering if you're eligible, it's pretty simple. It's open to filmmakers in Miami-Dade and Miami Beach residents. You must be over the age of 18, and you have to use your favorite Miami Beach spot as one of the locations in your film. So if you meet those 3 qualifications, you're good to go. And of course, you have to have a great story and the ability to get it made in a cinematic form. And by cinematic form, I always mention this because this is an initiative through the Cinematic Arts Department. It must be a film. Now, what type of film? That's up to you. It can be animated, claymation, be a documentary. We're accepting narrative work, hybrid films, experimental, whatever works best for your short, we're open to. So it is a very, very open call. You'll have a little under 2 months to complete the film once awarded the funds. So you want to keep that in mind when proposing something. Don't propose something that is too complex to complete in 2 months. So let's go over the application. It's pretty straightforward. I have it all lined up on this slide. You have to answer a few questions, submit your CV, and have an optional work sample. So you're going to want to give us a log line of your short film in 50 words or less, quick synopsis of that. Tell us a summary of your idea in 100 words or less. And then, this is your creative brainchild. So tell us what it looks and feels like in 150 words or less. Help the jurors be able to visualize what this is. You're going to want to tell us who's your ideal audience. That's 100 words or less, gives us an idea of where you're trying to go with this film. And then you're also going to want to list, it's not up on this page, but you're going to want to list your favorite Miami Beach location. Again, I'm going to get more into that in a second. So just those questions up there, you submit your CV and an optional work sample, and you've officially submitted. Let me go to the next slide. Number one question I usually get asked are, what are the jurors looking for? So in previous open calls, we've had pretty obvious themes. We did Masks Up, pretty obvious, Save the Bay. We did Sustainability in Action, but here we're asking you to pitch whatever story you like. It does not need to it doesn't have to have a theme. As long as you're utilizing your favorite spot or spots in Miami Beach as a location in the film, you're good to go. We obviously want to get your unique perspective as an artist. So just make sure to pitch an idea that feels special to you. Jurors are not looking for any specific genre or format. So as I said before, it can be documentary, you can pitch a short narrative, it can be experimental, it can be any genre. You want to do a rom-com, that's fine. You want to do a horror film, that's cool too. If you're going to animate the film, you can animate your favorite location. It does not need to actually be a film from Miami Beach, but you could feature your favorite location. So there's no restrictions on what type of film. And you don't need to have access to fancy equipment. It's totally fine to use an iPhone, but you can use your fancy equipment too if you have it. This is open to filmmakers with great ideas and the ability to take the idea and make it a reality. So as long as you can do that, we don't care what camera you shoot it on. Again, reiterating, 3 to 5 minutes to make this story come to life. So you're going to want to pitch something realistic for that time frame. And then, as I keep promising, talking a little bit more about your location, we want you to pick your favorite spot in Miami Beach and use it as one of the locations. So you'll want to let the jurors know where that spot is. Is it a neighborhood? Are you highlighting a specific park? Is it on the water? Is it underwater? You can also, if you want to use your favorite restaurant, what place is this? You'll want to describe what that location is. But keep in mind, if your favorite spot does happen to be a business, this short film should not feel like an ad spot for that business. It should just be the location. So keep that in mind. We're not paying you to film an advertisement for your favorite restaurant. It would just be a location. Last thing to note regarding location, Miami Beach spans from South Point, so that's all the way at First, all the way to 87th Street. So the north edge of Oceanside Park, that's your visual marker of where the beach ends. So we do scan the applications for eligibility. If you submit something that is north of 87th or is not on the beach at all, you would be ineligible. So we'll contact you to make sure that you submitted the right location. But if it is not on Miami Beach, you would not be eligible for this contest. So one more timeline and jury. All applications have to be submitted by March 7th at 6 p.m. You can see it on all the slides as a nice reminder. So you have a little bit under, I think it's like 5 days to propose your idea. So we're going to be sending every single eligible application we receive to independent jury of filmmakers and film professionals that are going to review the applications. I review the applications just to make sure they meet eligibility criteria, but Oolite Art staff is not on the jury. So keep that in mind. It is an independent jury. Jurors are going to review your applications in March. We're going to have them deliberate in April, and then we'll announce the winners in early April. So if you're one of those winners, you have until the end of May to shoot your film. And then at some point this summer, we're going to be screening those 10 films in person. So I'll make sure to update you when I have more details on that. You can get all of the information on our FAQs, which give me one moment and I will plug that into the chat for your convenience. should be able to access through that. And again, last reminder, deadline's March 7th at 6 p.m. That's next Monday. Please don't try to submit at 5:58 p.m. on Monday or send questions before you submit at 5:45 p.m. Monday. You have 5 days to complete the application, so don't wait till the last minute. I think I've said a bit, so I'm going to go to our Q&A, and I am going to let our guest know that she can hop over. I don't see any questions yet, but if you have any, we will certainly be taking them from you. Okay. See, here's Miss Helen. Hey, Helen. So just a quick intro. Helen was one of our winners from our Save the Bay PSA contest. And they're going to talk about their experience. Do you want to talk a little bit about your PSA, Helen, the Siren, which I'm going to plug into the chat right now. Let me get that over to everyone. Actually, before we go to that, maybe let's start with this. Maybe introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about your background in filmmaking and your creative practice.
For sure. Hey, everyone. Thanks, Danielle, for having me. I remember being on the opposite end of this call and just like, nervous about my application and just having so many questions. But yeah, I'm from Miami, Florida, born and raised. My background is predominantly community organizing. After I graduated college and went back to Miami, I was like, there's so many things, like I believe in Miami, but there's so many things that need to be better and so many things that need to be protected, mostly the land and oppressed communities. And so I got really knee deep into community organizing, and alongside community organizing was also documenting and making art. And so my creative practice is largely rooted in community, rooted in social consciousness and a desire for social change. And so I see art as a vehicle for communicating these kinds of ideas. And, I really believe that a lot of the ways that we've been educated and that we've been socialized are not contribute to the oppression. And so I'm just, I'm using art to find ways to decolonize that and to re-educate and return to indigenous knowledges. And a lot of that relates to returning to the land. And so now fast forward to last year and the open call and the Siren, I felt it was very aligned because a lot of my creative practice also has to do with the ocean and the land and listening to the land and listening to ancestors as well. And so I felt that the PSA and the open call was the perfect opportunity to do so. And I had been thinking a lot about mermaids and symbolically what they represent and all of the different types of mermaid and sea creatures and that exist along many cultures and specifically among Afro-diasporic religion, and just researching them and getting to know what they represented. And so basically my PSA is about a mermaid who comes to warn us about the dangers of ecological degradation and harm. And so basically it's about her. And so that's pretty much my background and a little bit about the Siren.
And I thought one of the things that, again, I'm not on the jury, so I'm not one of the people that decides, but, obviously the jury agreed because you were selected as one of the winners. One of the things that I thought was so unique about your PSA is when people think about a public service announcement, it's a clear message with directives of do this and then this will result. And one of the things that was so cool about your PSA is that it was directive. It was sharing what was at stake and what could be done, but it felt like a short film as opposed to a a PSA. It felt like a hybrid, like it could be anything. So maybe in thinking about that, obviously this is a different call. It's a little bit more open. There's not a set theme that people have to apply for. But with that in mind, do you want to talk about when you started the application process? What attracted you to it? What made you want to? Did you already know you wanted to make something like this, or was the open call what made you envision the Siren?
So I had made a short film before the open call, and spoiler, but towards the end, the main character becomes a mermaid. And I didn't really get to fully explore as much as I wanted to this idea. And so I knew that I wanted to create more works around mermaid symbolism. And so basically hearing the open call, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, this is a perfect way for me to continue to explore these ideas and this research for my own personal practice, but also to plug into what's going on locally in Miami and to also be challenged to deliver this message. I also feel like PSAs that are too heavy-handed in directives, like don't always, like people, it just kind of like goes over people's heads sometimes, unless it's funny and then you remember it. But I'm not great at humor. So I was like, I know I can't take that route. So I really wanted to appeal to people on a spiritual level. And so that was my goal. And it was, it was kind of, it fit into my practice already, but it was also a challenge. And I was like looking forward to that challenge.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I don't know if you heard my presentation, but one of the things that I really emphasize for anybody submitting for any of our open calls, really, but especially the film ones, is you have to submit something that feels true to you and feels true to your practice. And those are the proposals that end up rising to the top, because you can really feel that this person is the best one to do this, the best one to get this project executed, because you really believe in it. So I think that, especially with the Siren, it was the perfect melding of your practice, what you care about with community organizing and your growing art practice. When you were filling out the application, because you and I talked not a ton, but we checked in. I know you attended the info sessions. You were very diligent about sending questions that you had. So do you want to talk about, like, when you filled out the application, was it difficult? Did you propose what you ended up making, etc.?
Yeah, it wasn't too difficult. I think I think, yeah, if you're like new to grant writing and applying to things, it can be a little scary and intimidating at first. So I think the hardest part is starting the application. And then I feel like once you start writing, things just start to pour out of you. And I think the best advice that I have is like starting it as soon as you can and not waiting till, I know you already mentioned that, but like really just writing it out and then sharing it with people and talking about it with other people, and then rewriting it and just like rereading it and fine tuning it. And that way also, if you have questions earlier on and you have doubts or hesitations or things that you need clarifying, you have time to both reach out and get a response and make any adjustments that you need to do. So
Thank you. Well said.
other than that, it wasn't hard. It was pretty straightforward application. I think the hardest part is probably workshopping your idea, which is ultimately the selling point.
Yeah. And it's a very good point that you make about giving yourself time to formulate your idea and to ask questions, because usually we have open calls end on Mondays. That way we give people the weekend to like formulate their idea if they're working during the week. But also people should remember we are not working during the weekend. So people sending frantic emails on Sunday at like midnight, I'm definitely not going to see them until Monday. So, it's something to consider. Question that I always am curious about as an administrator: did you think we were looking for something content wise when you were submitting, or what were your thoughts on that?
Um, I was just worried since mine wasn't a traditional PSA. I guess I was worried that maybe that would deter me from getting from I guess being selected. But also like because of yeah, just because of like how politically inclined I am, and coming from that space of like working in community organizing, um, like I was like, how much do I have to filter and how much do I have to shift so that it feels palatable to the jurors? And yeah, I think we spoke about that, and that was helpful to just get your feedback. But yeah, pretty much that's how it went for me.
Yeah. And do you, with that in mind, what do you hope that viewers that saw the Siren would walk away thinking or feeling?
It was really meant to be an awakening. I think sometimes we think that somebody's gonna save us and someone else is responsible and someone else needs to fix our problems. And I think that sometimes we forget to acknowledge how much power we have to individually to change ourselves, but also to come together and change the state of things. And so I just wanted people to see themselves as connected to the earth and the ocean and the land, and also see themselves as powerful.
Awesome. I love that. Well, I'm going to wrap up with you in just a minute. I know you gave some advice about um, retooling your application before you submit it, but do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to give filmmakers before I hop over to their questions?
Um, I guess I would say like I would say for sure like sometimes I think for me I had so many self-doubts in a lot of these application things, and I would be like sometimes I would err on like not applying, and I would say just like it doesn't hurt to just apply like even if you're not 100% certain about things, like just try it and then keep trying it even if you don't get it this time, like just keep going at it because like these funds are here, and artists deserve to have them to tell their stories. And so yeah, I just feel like even if you're feeling a little insecure, just push through it and submit it and keep going.
You're like giving all these amazing bits of advice, because I have to say, I always get people that are like, oh, I didn't get a grant before, so I probably won't submit. And what they don't realize is our jury changes every single open call I do. We have a completely different jury. So what might have not worked for a different proposal might be the perfect thing for the jury that we have in this route. So it's always good to submit. And I know you might have heard some of it, but we're constantly listening to feedback of filmmakers, the people that participate in these open calls. We've upped our budget. So the filmmakers are asking for more funds. They're asking for more room to make the creative work that they want to do. So we're having open calls that are truly open. We're upping the budget. We're providing funds to help support for insurance. So I think it's always very powerful, even in this context where it's the arts, to do as you mentioned before, which is not expect somebody else to do the other things and really let your voice be heard, because it does make an impact in the funding and where funding goes for creatives. So I appreciate your impact, or your input and your impact. So thanks for coming and talking with us today. I'm going to let you run so that I can answer some of these questions that don't have to do with your proposal. But as always, we wish you the best and love following what you're doing.
Thank you. Bye, Danielle. Bye, everybody. Good luck.
I'll see ya. And then I'm going to take you out of there. There we go. So I do have a couple of questions that I'm going to answer from y'all. Let me take this slide to put over there. So I got one question that says, I'm co-writing and plan to co-direct the piece with a colleague. Do you have any restrictions regarding that? Great question. You are more than welcome to co-write and plan and co-direct a piece with a colleague. However, only person gets credited as the recipient. So say I applied with my husband, Ruben. It would, if we were selected, we would not be awarded, the award would not go to Danielle and Ruben. The person that submitted it would receive the funding. If you want to reference a past co-directed effort, our winner from our mask sub-contest, Katja Essen, she had a co-director, Hector David, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I'm gonna botch the name, Hector David Gonzalez. That was her co-director. She made sure that he was, Hector David Rosales, that's it. I'm so sorry. She made sure that he was credited in the PSA and then in the credits. And she made sure that when we did the event to shout him out. However, the one that was credited and not be upset. That's fine by us. Another person asked, do you have to be, oh, my internet connection's unstable, guys. Hopefully it's fine. Somebody asked, do you have to be someone who has made films before, or can you be someone who has never done professional films? This contest is more geared towards filmmakers. If you haven't made something before, it's okay. We've had people that have submitted prior that have never made a film before that ended up getting selected. So don't use that as a hindrance. You can submit, but the contest is targeted towards filmmakers. Hopefully that answers your questions. And are there guidelines on how the awarded money has to be spent? No, there are not. We give you the $5,000 upon being awarded. If you choose to make all the props and everything with stuff that you already have, and you have the camera and whatever, and you choose to pay an actress the whole amount, that's on you. If you choose to, divvy it up to everybody, that's on you. We don't have restrictions on how you spend the funding. You do have to produce the short film that you submitted, though. That would be the only restriction. I know there isn't a film production provided. However, for amateur filmmakers, would there be any resources available to possibly find someone to film it? The resources is the $5,000. So if you're talking about funds, the $5,000 is part of your funding to make it, to make the short film. If you're talking about resources about connecting you with somebody, I'm happy to have you email me. And I can talk about that further with you. I'm not too sure if you're talking about funds or if you're talking about human beings. So I'm putting my email in the chat. You're more than welcome to send me an email and I can help get that answered better. I have another question that says, what would be a stronger submission for a narrative, a visual treatment or a screenplay? I can't really answer that, because it depends on what you feel is stronger. If you have a really strong screenplay and you want to submit that, the jurors will obviously read through it. Visuals are great too. You can submit a combination of both. In the application, I believe there's a section where you can upload past work. In that section, you can upload past work, or you could put your screenplay, or you could put your visual treatment, whatever you like. I can't really tell you what would be more stronger from the jurors' standpoint, because I'm not one of the jurors, but whatever you think will complete your application in the strongest path. And with that in mind, you might want to take some of Helen's advice, which is have one of your peers or have a friend or family member look over your application and see everything with each other. And do they have questions? Do they think it's a strong application? Does it make sense to someone that's never heard about it before? So hopefully that helps. If that's not clear, again, feel free to email me and I'm happy to answer. Another question is also, are there any ground rules besides being a Miami-Dade resident and it being 3 to 5 minutes? Yes. The only other ground rule is, well, two technically. One is that it has to be a film, whether that is animated, whether you want to actually film it, if you want to do claymation, but it has to be a cinematic form. And then the other rule is that you have to pick your favorite location on Miami Beach, and then that location has to be one of your locations in the film. If you choose to have it be the location for the entire film, that's cool. If it's only one location, that's cool. If you want to feature several locations on Miami Beach, that's cool. Somebody asked if they're allowed to submit a documentary. Yes, you are. This is open. I think in the application, we actually ask if it's a narrative, a documentary, a hybrid, or experimental. You can submit any of those. As I said, we are staying open and listening to everyone and what they want. People want more creative opportunities to submit their work. So we are not providing any, what is the word? We're not pushing back on that. So submit whatever you would like, as long as it's a cinematic form. Are the jurors' names made public? Yes, but on the tail end. We do not disclose any of the jurors' names prior to the applications being reviewed, because then everyone would email them and probably send them treats and make best friends with them. And we don't want to do that. But we always disclose jurors' names after we've announced who was selected. So if you are selected, you will find out the list of folks that reviewed your application on the tail end. And then the other person that asked the question about resources available to help finding someone to film it, they clarified that they were talking about human beings, not funding. Send me an email. I'm not certain if I'm allowed to recommend to people or not. Of course, I have many talented filmmakers in the community that I would love to recommend, but let me check with our team to see if I'm even allowed to do that. I would hate to promise it and then not be able to deliver. I think that is the end of my questions. Not sure if anyone else has any. I'm going to stay on for just another minute to make sure I answer all of them. If you guys think of anything else, or again, are watching this later on the website, feel free to email me at dbender@ulightarts.org. It's in the chat so that you can reach me at any time. I'm very accessible. I try to get back to people quickly. I said I don't answer emails on Sunday. I wish I actually didn't, but I do. I'm happy to look at all of your questions, and obviously happy to support this initiative. Very thankful to Lynn and Lewis Wolfson II Family Foundation and City of Miami Beach for supporting filmmakers. But yeah, anything I can answer, please feel free to email me. And most important thing to remember, applications are due Monday, March 7th, 6 p.m., no exceptions. If there's any issues you're having, please email me sooner as opposed to later. Don't wait until the last minute. It's always bad practice to submit late grants. So just send me an email, any questions, and I'm happy to help. And it doesn't look like we have any on here. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Actually, I am going to plug one thing. If anybody wants to pop over to our website on the skills session, it went out in our email, in our e-blast yesterday, but we are going to be doing a series of film skills with filmmakers. We have an amazing one coming up on March 13th, and it's going to be led by filmmaker Diana Peralta. She is going to be talking about her experience making her first micro-budget feature, De Lo Mio, which ended up getting picked up by HBO Max. That link to sign up is on our website, and we also have an application for filmmakers to sign up to do a one-on-one with her. And then post-event, we'll have drinks, we'll have food, and we'll hang out and just get together with the film community. So please feel free to sign up, and happy to answer any other questions, and hope y'all have a great night.